So, to start off with, if you want to know how I got all this currency, or if you want to know more about the other expedition members, I'm making an expedition series. The first video was on logbooks, and how I typically run them. This is the second video, which focuses on how I use Dannig's reroll currency, and of course all the artifacts associated with him. The third video will be on Tujen, and how I use his reroll currency and all the associated artifacts. And finally, the fourth video will be on Rog, and how I use his reroll currency and again, the associated artifacts. I'm not going to be doing a video on Gwenin, because what I do with Gwenin is, I sell the Astragallis, and let someone else gamble. But for now, I'm going to be talking the basics of Dannig. Now, he is the rarest of all the expedition members, at least in terms of how you encounter him. But the reason why I wanted to start with him is he's kind of a foundation you can use to fill out the artifacts that you need for any of the other expedition members. And because he has this innate flexibility, I wanted to start with him because that's where you should start. You should use all of your Knights of the Sun currencies first, and then move on to doing something with all the rest of the currencies. And this is because you buy other artifacts with Knights of the Sun. To start with, I'll buy every logbook that's presented to me without thinking about it. From there, I'll also buy all exotic coinage and all Astragallis. Depending on how many I have, I do also buy some scrap metal. The thing is that scrap metal is super cheap and you can just buy it from other players, so you don't really need to use your artifacts for it. Even if you just do this, you'll get quite a bit of profit, but you'll also have to buy dozens, if not hundreds of burial medallions if you actually want to use all of your artifacts, a process which gets quite tedious and quite annoying. So if you don't want to have to constantly buy burial medallions, what you'll need to do is convert some of your Knights of the Sun currency into other currencies. In particular, you want to look for artifacts that are in higher demand. Things like Exceptional Order Artifact, Grand Broken Circle, or Greater Black Scythe. Exactly what you buy will depend on your own personal preferences and your own needs at a given time. If you want the absolute max money, you should be buying burial medallions and you should just keep rolling through, only buying rerolls and logbooks. But if you want a little more of a holistic approach and you don't want to have to deal with min-maxing to that degree, then you should buy what you plan to invest in. So if you really love Tujen and you want to get all the small currencies and you hate your wrist for some reason, then what you'd want to do is focus on buying Black Scythe artifacts. Artifacts will vary in price, with the cheapest being 0.5 and the most expensive being 0.9. This is from a limited stock Dannig has, which will refresh every time you use a reroll. You can, of course, at a 1-to-1 ratio, exchange these at any time in any amount. So if you ever want to just dump a bunch of artifacts, you can do that too, but I really don't advise it. If you've been finding this video helpful, be sure to leave a like, as it really helps me out with the YouTube algorithm. And if you want to see the other videos on what I do with all of my Black Scythe currency and what I do with Rog, then be sure to sub to the channel and ring the bell to be notified whenever I upload. But now, let's get into the numbers a little bit. In the sample footage that you see, I used 173 burial medallions. This cost me around 11 exalted orbs. I was heavily prioritizing rerolls and logbooks, so specifically logbooks, exotic coinage, and Astragallis. I ended up getting 176 exotic coinage, which is worth about 5 exalts, 347 Astragallis, which is worth 7. Now, in terms of value, you can never really sell a logbook based on it being Rog. He's not in very high demand, because a lot of people underestimate him, so I've completely cut him out of the calculations here. This was also early in my datasets when I was focusing on testing Tujen in particular, so I was prioritizing Black Scythe a little more than I might have otherwise. In this case, I got 2 Broken Circle logbooks, which is worth about 40 C. They could also be Rog books, it's about 20 C per. 6 Scythe logbooks, which are worth 240 C. Again, significantly more expensive if the logbook has Black Scythe on it. 5 Sun logbooks, which are associated with Dannig, and are yet again far more expensive. Now we're up to 400 C, and if you split them, you can often sell them for about the same price, so in theory you'd make more like 600 here. And 1 Medved logbook, which is worth 1 exalt, but again, you can often split it and sell it for the same price, so we're looking at a little under 2x. Not counting the cost and the splitting process, that means that I spent 10.8 exalts, or let's just say 11, and I got back 18. It took me around 10 minutes to do this, meaning I made 7 exalts in 10 minutes. Which, if you have the artifacts lying around, means that you can brag to your friends about an absolutely absurd rate of return. If I really wanted to clickbait this video, I would have said 40x an hour. Technically it's true, but more accurately, it's not. Because after all, it took me a lot of time to gather all these artifacts. I just make 40x an hour while I'm turning them in, while I have burial medallions. And this is why I mentioned near the start of a video that if you want the most profit per hour, what you really want to do is just buy more burial medallions and keep turning them in. At least until you've run out of Knights of the Sun artifacts. So this has been video 2 in my expedition series on how you use Dannig. In a lot of ways, this acts as the foundation for the other videos and the foundation for the artifacts that you'll be using in the future. But what do you think? Is it worth the higher rate of return to buy more burial medallions and focus exclusively on logbooks and rerolls? Or will you also be buying artifacts because that takes a lot less time and you don't have to trade a bunch of people? Let me know down in the comments below. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions, be sure to put them down in the comments below, or join the Discord where you can ask questions, get build help, and hang out with the community. A special thanks to my patrons and YouTube channel members. They're awesome, and they get to show it by having their name on screen in the credits of all my videos. So if you want to see your name here, be sure to check the link in the description. For more general gaming content, check out my second channel, 10 Gaming Thoughts, and if you want a water bottle or a cool shirt, I have a link to my official merch shop in the description. I hope you learned something today, and I hope to see you again sometime soon.